there is no 2023 without AI on the agenda, right? Many of us have already asked ourselves, how might AI help us build more sustainable enterprises? And Hari, he connects it to time. That AI allows us to speed up our path to alignment and harmony as we strive to create a more holistic view of the enterprise. Doing things we cannot, AI lends us a tremendous data power manifested in, for example, digital twins, simulations, which might give way to finding new pain points in new ways and leading to better solutions faster. 30 years in the business of change, he continues to reimagine, and joining us from Wichita, Kansas, please give Hari a very warm welcome.
Can you hear me? Sound coming through? All right, great. All right. So AI has become a household term in the last less than a year, actually. Using AI as a tool has become an household thing. Children, kids are using AI, ChatGPT, to do their work. I'm going to tell you that AI can transform our work here, this group, engaged in holistic thinking, in transformation. I think AI, well, I hope I can convince in this mind share, in this talk, that AI is a tool that can transform our work of enterprise design. Of course, AI is a tool. Like any other tool, AI needs to be used appropriately. Okay? Now, Yorai said this morning that no matter how many talks he gives, he is nervous. This is I don't give talks often at all. This is my first time on this subject, so please bear with me. I'm looking for feedback from you all. It's actually not a talk, in my opinion. I'm sharing my experience, and I'm going to tell you some things which may be not real yet, maybe visionary kind of thing, but I believe we are very close, okay? All right. I figured I didn't have to say anything for this slide. You get it, right? I mean, so this is actually one view, I don't think it's all apps, but it's called the MAD map. It is really MAD being machine learning, AI, and data landscape, MAD landscape. So it is MAD. We're talking about enterprise design. This is what we have to deal with, and it's exploding. This is several months old, and these things will keep coming, will keep hitting us, and we have to find a way to deal with the transformation that we are charged with bringing as architects and as enterprise designers. I'm going to actually first share a bit of my own background in the transformation space so you can understand where I'm coming from. So I'm an old-timer. I started, which one is this? Yeah. I started way back when in the mainframe computer development. That was my first job in the late 80s. And I was working on a future mainframe computer product in Sunnyvale, California. And that product was compatible with an architecture that IBM invented in the early 60s. So we are talking about a 60-year-old technology today. Okay? We were dealing with the changes that were confronting us. At that time, this was early 90s, 91, we were dealing with things like client-server computing hitting us. And the World Wide Web was not there yet. And already we were having issues with the architecture of the product, stabilizing it because the technology was changing. The chip technology was changing from ECL to CMOS. So we realized that, how do we think about this sort of a transformation holistically? It's not just the product that needed to be changed. It's the organization. It's the skills needed. It's the marketing of the product. It is the footprint of the product in the data centers, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to show you on the next slide what fundamentally influenced my thought around how to think. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. This is basically showing a bunch of different industries and the type of engagements that I was involved in, all the way from vision and strategy to actually deployment of very large mobile telecom premium services and so on. So I won't go into all of that. That's for another day. But right now, in the last 6 years, it's been 7 years now, since 2016, there are two things which I'm focused on. One is using AI in the enterprise transformation. And the second one is I'm involved in standards development in the industrial process control and automation space. I'm very active in a standards body called Open Process Automation Forum that is managed under the Open Group. Okay, so with that background, let's go to this. This is really a copy from a book that I show here. It was published in 1991, and it's central to how I think, which is why I wanted to spend a few minutes on this. It's called Systems Architecting, and the author, Eberhard Rechten, invented this term, as far as I know. It's about systems thinking, right? And what he's talking about is any system is made up of various elements that work together and do something that none of the elements can do by themselves. And so, therefore, the interfaces between and among these elements is their strength, but also it's their weakness if we don't structure it properly. And so systems architecting is all about structure. Architecting is all about structures. And so how we structure this whole set of elements and the functions that they perform is what matters, is this point, okay? And in this chart, it's a model building. It starts with model building, the way he describes it. It's a model in this case is a mental model. It's a conceptual model based on the client needs. Now, you can, the rest of the activities here are specific to systems engineering of things like industrial solutions. Rechten came from the aerospace industry, systems engineering background. And so I'm not going to talk about those details, but to me, an enterprise is also a system. This was what hit me even back then. Enterprise is also a system, and because it is made up of various elements of all domains, from working with the customer, the client, the product, services, the capabilities, the processes, the technologies, and the IT systems, and the OT systems in the manufacturing, operational technology systems, etc. And an enterprise, to me, is a system. And the interfaces are the interfaces not only between systems and applications, but also between strategy and capabilities, or strategy and initiatives and investments. Those are really elements that all need to be aligned. So to me, this seemed like a great way to anchor the incredibly difficult challenge of thinking holistically and aligning this. Rexton did not, however, provide a way to do this. Right? There was a whole bunch of in the book. In this book, there are lots of wonderful heuristics, but no method to do this, right? And so this was 1991, and me and my colleague who stumbled on this book, soon after it was published, we started talking about it and so on. And to me, it became an obsession, honestly. So I've been still on that same journey after so long, in spite of the diverse path that I just showed you on the previous slide. So it's really the balance between fit and function in the end. It is really, that's the balance. And when we balance, we consider these other, what we call non-functional requirements, and it's always a balance, right? So I think that's really the message here. The key point is this, before I forget, is the need for structuring comes when there is a need to, when there is in a transformation setting. You don't always modify the structure. If you're implementing a new payment system in an enterprise, overall, what it is doing doesn't change in the enterprise. The system architecture may change. The IT application architecture might change. But the payment system is doing the same thing. But if you're in a transformation setting, we have to think about structures differently. That is when we need something like this. Go back to the concept here and begin to build our mental models, right? And the thing is, as you go down the path of designing and implementing and deploying, things are going to change. The architect, replace in your mind this architect with architecting, or say enterprise design, if you will, okay? These things are not going to stay the same as imagined right here. They do change, and what this is showing is the architecting process really is involved throughout this journey. The darker lines show the heavier involvement, but as you go down, as whatever we imagine, whether it is a new enterprise business process or a new capability, as we go down to the real world, things will be different. And so we have to go back and think about how that affects the model, and we got to reimagine that. Now, that's all a mental process. This was very highly theoretical at that time. Okay? So I'm going to tell you that it is possible to do something like this with the advances in the technology, and most recently with AI. Okay? All right. So this is an example of a proof of concept use case that we implemented in the manufacturing industry. In the last 10 years, I have been focused on the manufacturing industry, and I have had the good fortune to work with this highly innovative leader, recognized leader in manufacturing, very closely. And he can probably tell this story much better than I can, but I'll make an attempt. So in the manufacturing space, this is one use case, okay? In the manufacturing space, there is a huge problem, productivity plateau, okay? Over the years, different technologies helped improve productivity in manufacturing. And around there, you have the plateau. And then there is the other problem here, which this chart shows the percentage of retired people retiring, percentage of population over the years. And you can see that around 2010, the productivity plateaus, and right here, okay? So there is something going on here. The way he explains it is there's a lot of knowledge that is built up, a collective knowledge that's built up in the enterprise, in the manufacturing enterprise, and on the factory floor, and so on and so forth. When people retire, they take that away from the enterprise. Now, we live in a different era. The average tenure for a plant floor worker used to be like 30, 35 years. Today, it's 18 months. And so it's really not possible to train a new worker, bring them up to speed, in this paradigm, using old ways. And so the whole idea is that can we use AI as a companion to assist the workers do the work, even if they don't know the job. That was a thing here. And so we built a prototype of to demonstrate, to check, do the feasibility of this. And this is really a very highly distilled version of the AI proof of concept solution. And what you're seeing here is all the data on the left-hand side, and this is all knowledge, right? Knowledge about the enterprise, knowledge about supply chain, supplier knowledge, business unit knowledge, all kinds of knowledge. Knowledge that's in various forms, right? In people's heads, experts, they know it, right? And it's in documents, it's in books, it's on the internet, and so on. And so what this technology does is basically the AI consumes this knowledge, right? And uses a map, connects it to the data, and then is able to essentially create what we call collective intelligence model, which can be used in different use cases. In this use case, we used it in the procurement scenario, procurement of raw materials. Okay, and what this machine does is to generate a whole bunch of options based on hypotheses, based on the knowledge and the data, and it optimizes and generates the top 3 sort of recommended options and the reasons, right? And then ultimately it's the human that will have to select, but it speeds up things dramatically, something that was not possible before without the AI. So we still have a problem. I mean, what I showed there was a proof of concept, and we have done several other business use case POCs, business in the process of adopting, piloting, and so on. What is the problem? As an architect, I'm saying we have a problem still. The problem of silos and fragmentation continues. Silos and fragmentation is a major problem in every enterprise that we all know about. Complexity keeps increasing, new pieces come up. The very first chart I just showed, hundreds of new applications being thrown, could be thousands, and those are all the fragments and silos. So we are talking about everything in the enterprise, not only technology systems, right? People, process, technology. So this is an example, just an illustration of various use cases being addressed in an enterprise using our current methods. Okay, and the way we do this, each one is a separate solution. This is how we create enterprise solutions today. Okay, each one is a silo, and they are fragments, and then we work on integrating these things. Okay. Now, ends up with, this is again a highly simplified model, right? And so this is the reality today in every enterprise, small, medium, large. So in enterprise design, enterprise architecture is a highly iterative, incremental and multidisciplinary activity. If we do this in silos, there is no recovery from that. It doesn't actually change the enterprise. It might change a process or one particular business activity. And what we need is really something that we can stitch together, start with a mental model, and as a group, right? Different mental models, we need to be able to stitch that together. And this is an example of the architect, Frank Gehry, conceptualizing this Guggenheim Museum, initially like this, which ended up looking like this when it was all done, all things considered, right? And it's a highly iterative process, and this is the enterprise we're trying to create. We got to start somewhere, and it has to evolve iteratively throughout the organization. This is not something that you bring in a consultant's team and then change the enterprise. It doesn't work like that. It has to change every role, performed in the enterprise. It has to be organic. How do we do that? I believe that systems architecting approach that uses a continually evolving model of the enterprise. The model that I showed in the earlier slide would be the enterprise model. How does the enterprise work? What's our mental model? And that model of the enterprise should guide. That should guide the process. And I think the first principles of enterprise architecture, discipline. I'm not talking any particular framework. Frameworks are good, they're necessary. Regardless of the framework we use, there are first principles in enterprise architecture that can be used to frame this and to guide us in this process. And what I'm saying, actually, I think a lot of other speakers earlier touched on this, including even Oliver architecture approach to green and to sustainability. And it's kind of, so I think there's a lot we can do with when we apply architecture here. Now, what would be the requirements to do the enterprise design highly iteratively and like that? There's a list of things that I would name, okay? Above all, we need composability of use case specific solutions, right? We don't want to end up with silos and fragments. We need to be able to compose them as we create, as they come up, right? Now, I'm getting into a bit of a visioning stage here, but bear with me. We need to be able to compose at the domain level, at the enterprise level, and even nested enterprises. In reality, many of the enterprises are nested enterprises. My client is a manufacturing enterprise that has multiple different businesses within that, right? And so each one is an enterprise. And then we need, oops, what did I do? And then end-to-end modularity is fundamentally important. And that modularity has to be possible all the way from the conceptual architecture through even organizational design, defining strategies, right? Designing products and services. We have to be able to do bits and pieces here and there, right? And capabilities and business process design, designing and developing software, infrastructure, manufacturing plants. These are all important. This modularity, the method has to be there in all of them. Otherwise, we will not be able to achieve this kind of vision. And defining initiatives, roadmaps, and executing them, and many more, right? And how do we do that? Highly distributed, in addition, we need to support the highly distributed approach to modeling the enterprise, because it's not one team that's going to do this, right? This has to be the entire enterprise. People in various roles should be able to just do their jobs using a companion that I'm going to talk about. And that should actually keep up the model and so on. So we can't operate in this way. We have to have this architecture and a framework of some sort of a method that will essentially make something like this possible, something to guide our thoughts, mental models, starting from that, to actual execution in all the different realms, people, process, technology. And so when we do that, something like this would happen. Different use cases are happening. Nobody is necessarily thinking about the entire thing. But everybody is doing their jobs, their use cases, and they are guided by the framework, and you end up with something, a whole that is modular and that is all connected, right? And so I'm saying AI can serve as a companion in this enterprise design process. So, bit more of the detail why I say this, right? Our current approach is, humans, we understand the enterprise operating model in our minds, right? Specific to a problem, scope to a problem. And that is how whether if we are business analysts or IT architects or software developers or procurement analysts, whatever, right? We have an understanding of our enterprise, our operating model in our heads. Thank you. And that is fundamentally human-oriented today. It has to be performed in our minds, and that's how we create the technology solutions. Now, based on the human mental models, then we design solutions involving all of these realms in the enterprise. Developing solutions in this manner misses the opportunity to create significant value from using AI as a companion, because we are processing things in our head. So what I'm going to say is we should capture the enterprise operating model in a way that both machine and humans can understand, and use AI as a companion to assist humans. This is not about automation and removing humans from the equation. It's to assist humans to think more holistically, to think faster, to take into account many different variables simultaneously, right, at the same time. Now, I call this a deep enterprise architecture, intelligent deep enterprise architecture model. I'm going to show you how we are doing this. We are experimenting with this. We are having limited success, but this technology is going to keep improving, okay? And so, you all know about the LLMs, and, people can interact with LLM and ask questions, whatnot. I won't go into that. We hear a lot about this, but there's a lot of whatever the LLM knows. But if you feed the enterprise knowledge and data and requirements, the LLM will give you, more specific answers and solutions based on what it knows, and then your enterprise data. But still, you have to be very careful. It hallucinates. You don't know what is right and what is true and what is hallucination. And to deal with that, one of the techniques that is being experimented with in the industry is the ontology. Now, the ontology, in our case, can be our EA frameworks and a model, right? Our meta models. And when we feed in the ontology to the LLM, the LLM can generate the enterprise model based on our ontology, okay, and create a knowledge graph. And this knowledge graph captures the enterprise operating model. So this is a deep technical topic as well. I'll need more time. I'm just introducing this to you at this point, okay? And once the knowledge graph captures the knowledge and the data in a way that even humans understand, you can provide interfaces to that and create enterprise design tools to work with that model. Okay? And you can also design solutions that work with that. Now, the use of one of the biggest advantages in having a model like this, not just a mental model implemented this way, is the ability to use digital twins and simulations based on that model. And this is real. This is all things that people would tell me years ago, this is science fiction, but no longer. This is all there today. And this is one example of, it's on the internet, a guy called Peter Lawrence published, and it is a conversation of a ChatGPT about a control system in a manufacturing plant. And the advantage in this is you can engage your users in the process of the design and gain their trust. And you validate with the SMEs. The actual design would be what the SMEs would desire, not what the AI desires, right? And to drive adoption of the transformation strategies, this will be very helpful. It's being used already in the industrial space, but yet to really make a start in the more abstract space that we deal with in the business and strategies and so on. Okay? And a couple more examples there. I won't go through that, but I think that was my concluding remarks are basically reduce the manual effort, right? And in building and visualizing it, take advantage of the tool, accelerate the design process using the AI companion. Is there to accelerate it and bring to market faster, right? And utilize AI-powered digital twins and simulations in the enterprise design process and optimize the enterprise design itself. So the two things. Use it to accelerate the process, use it to improve the designs. Okay? So that's basically, do I have any more time for questions? I don't know.
We do have time for questions.
Okay, all right. I'm not tracking the time here, so.
Big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great talk, and it's an area I've been thinking about as well as part of Architect Tomorrow. The thing I find about large language models is they're an average of what's gone before, right? They're an aggregation of the internet as a whole. And I think they're great for coming up with things that have already been solved, but often when we're doing enterprise design and architecture, we're trying to solve problems that in novel ways, in new ways that haven't been solved. So do you believe this will truly help come up with novel ideas, or is it just the sort of knowledge about the organization that then helps the human be more creative in solving problems?
Great question, Oliver. No, it is really more about creating new solutions, new things. Because that's why it begins with the mental model, right? It's no limitation of what the AI knows. This is it starts with us, what we imagine, what we create, what we envision. And then the AI's ingestion of the enterprise knowledge is to teach the AI how the enterprise works today. Now, I didn't go into the details. When I talk about operating model, you would capture the past, the current operating model, past operating model, current operating model, and your future envisioned operating model. In fact, it will be a continuum, right? So it's just certainly for new things as well. For existing things, it's a lot easier to do this, but it's really for the transformation, for new things.
No, I like the point about augmenting rather than replacing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Great talk, thank you very much. We built a reinforcement learning version of this some years ago, and we pitched it to a large telecoms company. And I think the challenge, and this is the feedback, interested to hear your perspective, the challenge we had was that we came up against different change thinkers.
Sorry, cannot?
We came up against different change thinkers. So this is a knowledge area, which means it's a knowledge change thinker who believes that an organization can change if you adapt their knowledge. There's a blue change thinker which believes an organization can change through projects, time, cost, and effort. And so both of those units were part of the project, but the decision makers were what are referred to as yellow change thinkers, and they believe that organization only changes through politics and scheming and maneuvering. So these are great knowledge type of tools, but the ability to have those decision makers actually adopt it and take it forward. Right up to Steve Ballmer level, the response was, Microsoft isn't into AI, we're maturing the Office platform. That was the response at that particular time. So you've got decision makers, and I'd be interested to hear, with this complexity that you're dealing with, what has your experience been with some of those?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. It's very true. It's ultimately, it is the politics that determine, and we are dealing with that honestly today in driving adoption of this new technology, which is still nascent. Again, it's a bit of the detail. When I talked about the meta model driving as the architecture, the model itself, right? A very important aspect of that meta model starts from the things from the top, the vision itself, right? And your principles and your objectives and so on. So principles, so you can capture the political needs, requirements. Every enterprise is different. The enterprise, as enterprise designers, as enterprise architects, I don't think it's our job to tell an enterprise how to do the business, right? We are enablers. So every enterprise has their vision and their set of principles, right? And this technology will allow them to use their principles to guide their strategies. And it can flag the things that are not aligned with their principles or their outcomes or their investment strategies, etc. Does that answer the question? So it's a technology, it's a tool. We are not going to tell how the enterprises should be run. It's up to them. At least that's my position, yeah.
I actually think we need to move on so I would love for you to hang on to your question, because there is a party after, and I'm sure there will be time. So thank you so much, Hari.
Thank you very much, and yeah.